Wake the fuck up this morning!
Yeah. Turn down my little bit, yeah. Please don't waste my time today. Please get out my face. I'm losing patience and I don't know why.
Welcome. Come on in. Take your seats. I'm Akilah Doty, your hostess with the mostest, and this is Gut Punch. Woo! Ding, 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 ding. Okay, this is a show dedicated to putting you in the rink. Today we are joined by my very lovely co-host, MJ Rizzo. Hi. Post for the people. Post for the people. So I know you're probably thinking, like, who are you people? Why do you want to punch me in the gut? Okay, I will answer those questions in just a moment. So my name is Akilah. I'm a broadcast media student with a minor in public relations. And something that you need to know about me is that I literally love the internet, okay? And anything and everything pop culture, all those things. But more than anything, everything is indeed that deep. Okay. And our co-host for the day, lovely MJ Rizzo.
Oh my goodness.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm also a broadcast media production major.
Yeah, twinsies.
I'm a Sonic Arts minor.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. And I'm chronically offline.
Okay.
But I love to read.
Yes.
I love to read. So
Love
it's
to
like
have a little bookworm here.
I agree. It is that deep. It is that deep. I'm news pilled. I read a lot of news. And
Yes.
it's always that deep.
Yes. Okay, so now that we have our little intros out the way, I want to dive into our first segment, which is called the diving board. Boing, boing. Okay, you have to like picture the diving board sound in your head. So I actually know nothing about diving boards or diving, but that's not the point. We're not speaking literally here. The diving board is a person, a hot topic, a current event that has the range to dive off of. Simple yet unnecessarily complicated, just like situationships, okay? Okay, that was a little sidetracked sidebar. But luckily, our diving board of the day is a sweetie pie.
It girl.
It girl, not us,
Girl,
not
not-
us. We're
Well,
talking about
us, but not us.
yeah, us but not us. We're talking about the Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore is an American actress and talk show host born in Culver City, California on February 22nd of 1975. Okay, so interesting. Her name is Drew Blythe Barrymore.
Yep.
All of her siblings have the middle name Blythe except one of them, and I'm a little weirded out by it, just a little bit. Because like,
So
why
wait.
do all of them have the middle name Blythe?
Except for one of them.
Yeah. I
So,
forget the
wait.
other. Go ahead.
What's the other one's name?
It's like literally like Blythe Drew Barrymore instead
So
of
wait, the
Drew
other one, I
Blythe
don't know if
Barrymore.
you mentioned this, the other one is named Blythe.
Yes, their name is still Blythe. It's just not their middle name.
No, it's their first
their
name.
first name instead.
Okay.
It does sound like an old plague or something like that, like
Yeah.
Blythe.
Perhaps it's someone's, like my friend's grandma.
Sorry to your friend's
Sorry
grandma.
to your friend's grandma. No hate, but like
Didn't mean to talk
perhaps
about
that sounds very posh, but also it's the type of antiquated that is posh.
Yes, a little posh.
That makes me, it was like, oh, she was born into something.
Yes.
There's a reason you're all named Blythe.
Yeah, I mean, she was
Right?
born into an acting dynasty. She's definitely best known for her roles in 50 First Dates, Never Been Kissed, The Wedding Singer, E.T., Firestarter, He's Just Not That Into You, Message, the Scream series, and my favorite, Charlie's Angels. Okay, so she definitely had on brown face in that movie. That's like a cursed image,
No
seriously.
way.
But I choose to replace those images in Charlie's Angels with the picture of her and SZA hugging on her show after she did the cameo in SZA's Drew Barrymore
That's such
video.
a cute picture.
It is so cute.
that.
So like obviously we the people love Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Charlie's Angels was like, I don't know, it was one of those movies that I remember my dad like made me watch it. But
Really?
then, yeah, well my dad
With the
loved that.
OG or the one with Drew Barrymore?
Oh, the one with Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
The one with
let's
Drew
make sure.
Barrymore.
Okay.
Like, and I remember like sitting down and being like, oh, I don't want to watch a movie. I don't want to watch a movie. And then I was like,
And then you saw that weird guy that sniffs hair, and you're like, I'm into this.
no, I was into Drew Barrymore.
And so
Akilah, look at me.
Lucy Liu was my girl.
Oh,
Lord.
see,
Okay.
Kill Bill is what got me on Lucy
Yes!
Liu. Okay,
Things that
tangent.
we're
But
here,
Drew
we're here.
Barrymore. Drew Barrymore.
So outside of like being a pretty great actress, Barrymore is known for her tumultuous upbringing as a child star. Yeah, I think we've heard a little bit about this. So I wanted to cue up a Guardian quote. In an interview with Barrymore, The Guardian says, "Imagine you were a Hollywood producer, pitched the following idea. A baby girl born into an acting dynasty is put to work in a dog food commercial at the age of 11 months. At 7, she's a film star pouring Baileys over her ice cream. At 11, she develops a drink problem. At 12, she's a drug addict. At 13, she cuts her wrist and is hospitalized. And at 14, she's legally divorced from her parents. Of course, you wouldn't make the movie. Too far-fetched. There's only so much disbelief that one can willingly suspend." So unfortunately, this is just a snapshot of Drew Barrymore's childhood. After her breakout role in E.T. the Extraterrestrial at age 7, her life was never the same. We're going to play a little clip for you.
Elliot, look what I made for you. In the closet, fast.
So she's such a cutie, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, she was introduced to drugs and alcohol by her mother after being taken to the infamous Studio 54. You know about that? A New York City club where they do the boogie, and a little bit of the wigger sugar, a little bit of drugs.
The boogie and the boogie.
The boogie and the boogie. So by age 9, she took her first drink, and by age 11, she was smoking marijuana and doing cocaine. Her inevitable drug addiction led her to rehab and the Hollywood blacklist by age 13, and to legal emancipation from her parents at age 14. So this obviously is not a normal childhood in the slightest. And thankfully she was able to overcome some of her neglect and abuse. But like many people, I still have questions like how this happened and why were so many people willing to ignore her struggles?
Yeah, it's like, okay, people were so willing to ignore it, but she wasn't alone.
No.
I think that's maybe part of why people were so maybe willing to accept it as potentially normal.
Because many other people have experienced it as well.
I will say she was one of the first, but
Yes.
I think it was her and then Brooke Shields.
Yes.
And then Britney Spears.
Yes.
And then
Amanda Bynes.
I was gonna say for our generation, it's Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Is the most well known. It's just even though it's so absurd and so disgusting, it happens.
Yeah.
And it's a pattern.
And it's not that uncommon, which
And-
is a little scary.
When people notice patterns, they get more comfortable with things.
Yes, that's true. So now that we have a little lowdown on our diving board, we can kind of get to it. So like many viewers, I know that you also grew up watching these shows, but
yeah.
grew up watching Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl, Euphoria, The Fosters, Riverdale, and just similar shows that are based around teen characters. And as a teen, I couldn't really put my finger on exactly why these shows were so addicting, although unrelatable, and littered with sexual or sexually suggestive content. So, but as an adult, I'm a little bit alarmed at how these shows can include such graphic content in a setting that is usually high school. And despite the added exaggeration of a TV drama, it's a little bit jarring that the default is often high school instead of, post-college or early college. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the themes that we see in these shows and why they're so popular and why they may or may not be a little bit problematic.
Just a twinge.
We are into the deep end. Gurgle, gurgle sound. Yeah, whatever those.
Glove.
Sister. Okay, so there are no rules, okay? The only rule is that you have to answer the question and have an opinion. In a world where people are apolitical or often too unqualified to have so many opinions, we're trying to leave a little bit of space for nuance. We were teenagers at once. We grew up on these shows. So
Absolutely.
that and being like media people, we want to talk a little bit about both of those things. So I have some questions for you. And our first question is actually based on that same Guardian article that I found. And in it, the author of the article refers to Drew Barrymore as flirtatious and says things like she's 7 going on 27. Where, again, in the last sentence, it says, she is precious, funny, and outrageously flirtatious with the middle-aged chat show host. And they're talking about her interview with Johnny Carson back in, like, the 80s or 90s. So, again, that's just a little bit strange that we, like, use certain language to refer to children. So what do you think that Drew Barrymore's upbringing says about like the culture of how we treat children, especially in Western society, especially those who are considered like the protected class? She's of the upper echelon. She's very cute, and she's also white. And like you would think, at least to some degree, that she would be maybe more protected than other people were, but it doesn't seem that that was the case.
I think there's like this like horseshoe that happens with wealth and how children are maybe addressed within a family. Like if you look at like a lower class family, the family doesn't have time nor money because they're often working and not getting a lot of money for it, and they don't have time to spend with their children. The children can become neglected. You go back up into the horseshoe with a middle class family, they have time and money both to spend with their children. They're not always working and they have some money. Wealthy, no time, all the money in the world. Their children are running around doing whatever the hell they want because they have no time to take care of their kids.
With their credit card.
With their credit card.
Yes.
Yeah, with their credit card.
Yes.
So I think, but that like the horseshoe like kind of like bends off again, I think at that credit card point, because with the isolation that those two groups of children can face, like these children also have access to the most powerful thing that exists in our society, money.
Wealth. Yeah, money.
Wealth.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah,
It's-
well, maybe not unfortunately. But.
Yeah, I'd say it skews unfortunate. It's just like these kids have, they're not only a lack of supervision, but all of the power in the world, and they're like so isolated from their parents and so isolated from what it means to have a connection to a parent or
Other kids.
other kids. Yeah, because of, I'll like get into it later, but like objectification of a child, like they're not attached to their parents in the same way that like a standard parent-child relationship would have. Like they just have all of the power in the world and none of their parents' attention. So
Which is a dangerous concoction.
it's like what, yeah, where does that lead?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it is a little bit strange because, again, we're talking about children here. We're not talking about people that are completely autonomous that can like navigate the world on their own.
Yeah.
And we often see them portrayed as like kind of isolated from their parents, like in their own little world that doesn't really exist with the same just things that exist in like the real world for like the vast majority of children. So like my next question is, how are children portrayed in media oftentimes,
Like-
and how do shows like, you know, Euphoria, Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl add to like the adultification of children? And for those that don't know, adultification is the process of or fact of treating or considering a child as if they are an adult, usually in a way that is wrong or harmful.
Yeah.
So yeah, like how do you think that children are portrayed in media, and like how do those shows kind of add to their adultification?
Like those shows I think are, like I was talking about, this like very rare like type of person like Drew Barrymore who has all that money and all that power. Like these shows, like they kind of like not yin and yang each other because they're not positive. I don't want to like put it to that, you know, but like they kind of play back and forth with each other. Like are these very rare types of people creating this stereotype? Like is this stereotype being made as a reflection of them in media, or are these people being created by the stereotype? Like are they being brought up in a world where this stereotype exists, so they think that this is okay, normal and like the way to be? And I think with Drew Barrymore, it was she kind of fed the stereotype in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And like I think that children are portrayed as maybe as a reflection of what those producers wanted to see, and like that is that type of behavior potentially, because I'll say it, children are portrayed as like a reflection of what these pedophiles want.
And it's like
I'll say
it's a little bit uncomfy to like say that out loud, but you do have to kind of question the intentions of like people that make these shows.
Drew Barrymore was groomed throughout her childhood by these entities. I'm not, again, this is where I come in, I'm not online. I don't know who exactly she was groomed by. I can point to Dan Schneider for Amanda Bynes. That's like my biggest example.
Steven Spielberg was, the producer of E.T. We know he's a
Steven
weirdo.
Spielberg. Okay.
Yeah.
She was continuously like groomed throughout her childhood to being into like this. Like the stereotype necessarily didn't exist, but she became this way. And like fed the stereotype, and she was so popular maybe because she was like that. You know, the producers liked her because she was like that. They created this like vibe maybe to continue reflecting and normalizing what they wanted.
Yeah, and
pedophiles.
I think it is interesting because like when you talk about the fact that it was her mom that like brought her into these situations, and then like I think about like
she was an actress, correct?
Yes. So Drew Barrymore comes from an acting dynasty family. Her father and her mother were both actors, and then her grandfather was a very popular actor as well. So I think that there's this like added layer of wanting to like, people call it like keeping up with the Joneses, you know, or trying to appease the wider net of society. And there is like this lack of understanding, or maybe a lack of care when it comes to protecting children that are already a part of that, like in those circles, and what their parents maybe want to do to keep up with the Joneses in that way.
Like, I think that like comes into like I said earlier, like the objectification of the child, like the parent. In Western society, at least, the parent views the child as an object. It's like, this is something that I own. This is mine, like my child. Like it's strange to not say like, oh, my child.
It is your child.
It is your child, but like, you know what I mean? There's an inherent ownership in that type of language in Western culture, and I think because of that, parents often believe that they can make money off of their kids with no consequences, and it's just they can send them off into that, and that's
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is it's a little bit strange. I'm not gonna lie. So there's this famous quote about like life imitating art and art imitating life, and I feel like that's very like palpable here. How can we accurately like portray the lives of young people without like normalizing or like trying to glamorize harmful stereotypes or actions that they also would want to imitate? I think about Euphoria specifically, and like drug use and like geek bars and like vapes and stuff like that. And talking to my own sister, she was just like, people wanted to do those things that they saw in Euphoria so bad.
It's like, it's certainly like people in high school interacted with some degree of like that type of behavior, like little bits and pieces. There were always like glimpses, and I'm sure there were people that was their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But rare.
Yeah.
And it's just like really unfortunate, because it's like I really never have engaged with any media that has accurately portrayed a high school experience.
Yeah.
Or middle school experience.
Maybe atypical, but that's not made in America.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's
atypical.
not even in America.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked atypical.
We do love atypical around here.
But at least from like American media, it's
far and few.
It's few and far between.
Yeah.
And rare do you ever see like a truly accurate portrayal of an American high schooler, because they refuse to. They want to cater to a younger audience, and they think young people only want to see what's cool.
Yeah. But it's like we dictate what's cool.
Well, not only do we dictate what's cool, it's just like I think they don't understand that young people also have relatability.
Yeah.
And that we're all human and they can relate to things, and that connecting to something doesn't have to be like, oh, that thing's sick and cool and swag. It can be like, oh, I relate to that because I see myself in that, or it's like I understand it, you know. I think there's just like an inherent lack of understanding when it comes to children's wants and needs.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
It's
that
like-
part of that comes from like maybe not acknowledging them as full people
Yeah,
outside of, you know, like accessories to their parents, but just as their own individual person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that is a little, not just your child, that is a little human being, you know, gonna be here long after you. You know, that's like,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that the a part of that is okay. I want to get to this other quote about it's from Dr. Rosecki. She is a psychiatrist. She specializes in children, adolescents, and addiction, and she's the vice president of Newport Academy. And so she had this to say about their stance, saying that euphoria glamorizes drug use or drug abuse. She says, I think there's a difference between glamorizing and causing. They are two very different notions. Is it glamorizing? Maybe. Because in some ways, it makes drugs look very appealing. But the whole purpose is to engage an audience. It's TV, so it's make-believe, which is why kids who party and engage in risky behavior still manage to get good grades and look to the nines and not puffy-faced. This is a part of the glamorization, but it's also the make-believe aspect of entertainment as a whole. And while I agree with the sentiment that, like, this is TV, so there is glamour involved with it.
Yeah.
I feel like we can acknowledge that portion while also acknowledging like media for what it is and critiquing the ways that it willingly pacifies us to like normalize behaviors that may be harmful and also just like inaccurate. So like in the age of the internet where nothing is as it seems, you know, like filters are everywhere, staged things are everywhere. How much is it the producer's responsibility, like, of these shows to state their point more accurately without glamorizing and without, you know, like, normalizing these harmful behaviors that are not widespread, even though they exist?
I think, like, I was thinking about this question, and, like, I think it comes down to, like, maybe asking producers, what is, like, the purpose of their media, you know? And, like, why are these old straight white men creating why are these old straight white men creating media for high schoolers? Like, what is their relatability to a high school girl, to any high schooler? Like, and what, again, like, what is their intention with reaching people with that content? Like, why are they glamorizing these certain behaviors? Like, it's again because is that what they want to see in the world? It's like I do think it is on the producers, because like stating, like, again, I flip-flop back and forth, but like this type of behavior does exist in the real world.
Yes.
It does. And but just seeing like more accurate portrayals, I think, would be a little more helpful. Yeah.
I mean, I think Euphoria is weird
Euphoria.
in that way because, like, it's a show that maybe does not target teens, but that the show is surrounded by teens. So it's weird to, like, have that middle space where you have, like, adults watching content that is about teens, but that's not necessarily directly
It's
marketed
adult.
towards them.
Adult content for children.
Yeah, which is,
Strange.
it's a little icky. I really appreciate your participation. That's all the time that we have. Unfortunately, we do need to come back up for air, okay? Don't want to die down there in the deep end. As uncomfy as some of these topics and themes are, it's very important that we thoughtfully engage with the media that we ingest consistently. And that we're always asking ourselves, like, why these things pop up, why they're repeated so often, and to form our own opinions about them. As always, these are just opinions and they are our own. So please don't sue us, people, please. Yeah, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. I had a blast. Like, this kind of stuff is hard to talk about, but very important and very prevalent in our media. And as media personnel, I think it's our job to talk about it and to call light, you know.
Definitely. If you like today's episode and you want to see my adorable face some more, I will link my Instagram and my website so you can see what else I like to yap about. Where can the people find you, MJ?
They can find me on pretty much all social medias at MJ the Anarchist. My portfolio is on Adobe's portfolio platform at mjrizzo.com.
She said she's not chronically online. I beg to differ.
Oh my goodness, I have to be chronically online to get a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can check me out there.
Okay, well, you're going to see us again. Hopefully you're ready to get in the rink next time and to get punched in the gut. Stay ready, never have to get ready, okay? Yeah, you do, right?
I like that.
Okay, remember that. Remember I said that. Stay ready, never have to get ready. This was Gut Punch. Peace out. Woo, 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 woo.
Wake the fuck up this morning!
Turn down my little bit, yeah. Please don't waste my time today. Please get out my face. I'm losing patience and I don't know why.